Good afternoon, everyone. Living in a city with hustle and bustle, I believe most of you love traveling. Have you traveled on a bumpy flight suffering from strong air turbulence? Did you feel scary at that moment? I see some of you are nodding your heads. Luckily, you are here. You are survivable and still sitting here to listen to our presentation. While 113 victims on Concorde may have different fates, in July of year 2000, an accident happened on Concorde Airline AF 4590. This plane was turned into a fireball after 2 minutes after its takeoff. In this presentation, we are going to discuss three main causes and ethical implications of this catastrophe. First of all, there are three main causes of this accident, including human negligence, about the metal strip, and also the overweight problems and the design flaws. First of all, I'm going to talk about the immediate cause, which is due to the human negligence. If you take a close look to this photo, you will find that the left side of the plane was on fire. More accurately, it is the fuel tank located in the left wing being ignited. The story behind is that a Continental Airline DC-10 was taking off before this Concorde had left a metal strip on the airport runway. Investigations show that the material used in the metal strip was made of titanium instead of generally used alloy. Also, the more important thing is that it is found that the pieces was not apart from the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer. So that you can see this unauthorized metal strip was left on the runway and broke the Concorde tire into several pieces. In this stage, you may think that the the rubber fragments from the tire are small inside. It may not pose harm or make a large problem. But the fact is that its great acceleration may generate a great impact force, allowing it to crash into the oil tank and prompt explosion. So it is obvious that the overlook of metal strip by aerospace engineer on the aircraft and on the runway is the main causes of this catastrophe. However, we also need to look at the other side as well. The Continental Airline came to their view that the catastrophe would have not likely to happen if metal strip is the sole problem. It was only the takeoff of this accident only. Undeniably, they are correct in some extent. Imagine if the material used of every component inside the plane was strengthened and qualified, and the consequent chain reaction would have disappeared. So let me pass to Isaac to discuss the related structural force as well as others underlying causes. Thank you.
Of course, a single metal strip wouldn't lead to such a catastrophic situation. There should be some reasons behind, and the structural problem would be one of them. As you can see from the figure, the red shaded parts are the places where the fuels were stored. The fuel tanks were held by the wings, and both of them were made of aluminum alloys. However, cases showed that it was not enough to protect the fuel tank. According to the French Investigation Bureau, there were 57 cases of tire burst, and more than 12 cases involved the wings penetration by debris, and 6 cases involved the perforation of fuel tanks, though none of them result in any fires. In those 6 cases of tire explosion, it's locked off some pieces of the metal of the gear and the rubber from the tires, that pierced the wing and the fuel tanks. However, efforts were made only on reinforcing the tires and the metal parts of gears, but not strengthening the structure of the wings or the fuel tanks. And although the tires kept upgrading, the rate of tire bursts for every 4,000 flying hours of the Concorde was still 60 times that of the Airbus A340. It was known that a high taxiing speed would have a higher chance of tire bursts. The tires were not advanced enough to protect the fuel tank. As you can see that from the figure, the tires was just below the fuel tanks. That means any debris from the tire burst could easily rupture the fuel tank. And in this case, this led to the disaster and killing all the passengers and crews on the plane and 4 people on the ground. And another cause of this accident is the overweight problem. Investigation shows that the Concorde was overloaded during takeoff. It was estimated to be 6 tons more than that of the regulated takeoff weight. It is a specific weight for the planes to take off safely for ambient temperature and wind condition at that moment. And the weights of the luggages and the fuels were put at the rear side of the plane, and this makes the center of gravity shift backwards and exceed the limit. For planes with its center of gravity exceeding the limit, the plane will have a higher probability of getting uncontrollable. And the plane will then rear up backwards and crash, just as this diagram illustrated. And apart from that, if the plane had operated within the regulated limits, this accident would have been prevented. Some investigators show that if under regular conditions, the plane would have become airborne before it reached the metal strip. The extra weight on the plane resulted in the extra distance required for it to gain enough momentum for the takeoff. And this resulted in the collision between the plane and the metal strip and led to the disaster happen. And those were the 3 causes of the Concorde air crash accident in year 2000. The negligence by workers, structural problems, and overweight. Now, I will pass to Sampras, and he will discuss further about this case and explore the ethical implication with you.
So now we understand about the main causes and the underlying causes of the case. I would like to talk about the ethical implications. There are mainly 2 ethical implications related to the engineers involved. Firstly, the engineers responsible for the maintenance and the inspection of the aircraft have failed to fulfill their jobs by their carelessness. As by carelessness is that they have overlooked the problem of the plane being overweight and the situation on runway having a metal strip. From the WFEO Code of Ethics 2.1 and 2.2, state that engineers shall practice in a careful and a diligent manner, and also in accordance to the accepted engineering standards and codes. However, engineers in this case was not careful enough. As I mentioned, they neglect the problem of the plane being overweight and have put the passengers on the plane in a risk that the aircraft may fail at any time. Also, the engineers have not followed any rules and regulations. As Isaac had mentioned before, there is a maximum takeoff weight that needs to be followed by the plane when the plane is about to take off. Actually, the pilots in this case was informed that there were 1.2 tons of extra fuel which was not burned during the taxiing of the plane. And still, the pilots decided to take off when, without going through any safety regulations or calculations. So what could have been done by the engineer is to be more careful. And the engineers can perform more detailed inspection on the plane and before the takeoff and try to be more careful about the aircraft situation. Also, the flight engineer here, he can be responsible for informing the pilot of the potential consequences and that may occur when the plane is about to take off. That can ensure the plane is in a safe condition and the passengers' lives can be protected. So this also brings me to a second point. That is, engineers have failed to put safety above cost and efficiency. As WFEO Code of Ethics 4.3a stated that, engineers shall promote and protect the health, safety, and well-being of the community. And for an engineer, it's important to consider the cost and the benefits of the company, but it's also more important to ensure the safety of the public. So in this case, the engineer who is responsible for the design and the construction of the aircraft has failed to protect the aircraft's fuel tanks. As I mentioned in the previous, there's multiple incidents of tire bursts and the tire debris that may cause the aircraft damage. And the engineers have not put any modification on the aircraft except for the tires. So this has resulted in the accident of a Concorde that the fuel tank has been pierced and caused a fire. Also, in the aircraft operations, the engineers should have put safety above the efficiency of the aircraft operation. And in this case, engineers has tried to put the airplane on time for the luggage to be on board, and the engineers has not thought of that the aircraft is overweight at that situation. So that the engineers has allowed this overloading problem and results in the aircraft's severe condition. Also, the engineers they should have tried to promote the safety of the aircraft in trying to putting more protective materials on the aircraft, so that the efficiency, even if they have to postpone the plane's takeoff, they will protect the safety of the person on board. So from the above evidence and the above causes and ethical implication, we can see that the engineers has not paid enough attention in the safety and being competent on their jobs. So
in conclusion, we have analyzed the main causes as well as the ethical implication of these cases. The accident was attributed to the synergy of human negligence, overweight management, and structural force. And this can be avoided if every stage was handled with cautions. Indeed, safety should always be put into the first priority, overriding other factors.